manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin, and your other boy, Nick. What up, guys? And so today, thank you guys for joining in on our Friday night lives. Make sure you guys, do share that we do go live on Friday nights, 8 p.m. PST Pacific. But we do it to really interact with you guys. So make sure you guys are in the comments. Make sure you guys, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask away. But tonight's topic is the discounted dream, right? And really diving into what we mean by the discounted dream, because there's a lot of things that you want and you say you want, and then all of a sudden something comes along the lines and then you settle for a little less. So tonight we really want to dive into the topic of why do we settle for less? What are the reasons, psychologically, as well as what are some ways that we can kind of overcome them? So with that being said, let's dive into, what is the discounted dream, in just a broad definition, and I'll let you take that one away.
All right. Discounted dream. So to me, it's an individual's goal or something that they're trying to attain for, but not to the full extent or not the full price, right? That, whatever you're trying to achieve or whatever your goal is, settling for anything other than that or something below that. You know what I mean? Because if you think about the word discount, it's like, what does it mean? It's like some paying less than what something actually costs, right? Or not the full amount. So in the same sense, kind of like discounted dream, it's like whatever your goals are, or whatever your dreams are, it's like doing less or settling for less than what the full amount of what your goals and dreams would be.
Okay. Yeah. Like, for example, let's say you choose a safe career versus, pursuing something that is passion, right? Which we've had an episode on that recently, talking about what passion is and, finding your purpose and so forth. But, even for us, launching the gym and everything wasn't necessarily the safe route. And we had careers before it, but we chose to pursue it, even though there was outside influences, trying to sway us not to. Right. But those are the kind of things where you don't discount what you want and what you want your life to look like just because other people say that you should be living a certain way or be doing a certain thing. Another one is, let's say you have a fitness goal. Let's say your goal is to lose 40 pounds. Right. And all of a sudden you start to fear the fact that you might not hit it or that it's too big of a goal. So then you settle for a little less. Right. You're like, instead of 50 pounds, I'll settle for 10. Right. And you discount your goal so that you can achieve it and, tell people about that you hit your goal for the year. But in reality, in the back of your mind, it was bigger than what it was.
Right.
Right. Or even let's say, starting a business, right. Because you don't want to get the criticism or get the, judgment, right. Starting a podcast, right. I know Nick can speak to this too. It's like, it's weird, hopping on a podcast and, having to talk to no one, and it's one of those things where, again, you are worried about what you sound like, what you look like on camera and all these things. And you worry about what other people are going to say about you doing it. And then all of a sudden you start to do it for long enough and you like doing it and everything. And all of a sudden everyone's just like, oh yeah, that's what they do. And then they start promoting it. And then that's just a piece of who you are. Right. So a lot of the times, the fear comes from before you start about all the what ifs, but once you actually get started, all those what ifs disappear. Do you agree with that?
I do definitely agree with that. It's like kind of, I guess, like that fear, right? That plays into it. That I know you've said it many times, where it's like, what is fear? It's like the fear of unknown. It's not knowing what's on the other side, right? But that's literally the difference between achieving something, because my opinion is when you're trying to attain a goal or achieve it or whatever, it's being somewhere or putting yourself to somewhere you've never been, something greater, right? And that fear is like only it exists because you haven't been there, or else that wouldn't be your goal. That would be your normal. That would be your current state, right? And I think just our people as humans, and like their initial thoughts are like to be afraid of, like, you know, what they don't know. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of like straightforward and kind of dumb or cliche, but it's like, no shit, you don't know what's on the other side because you're not your greater self yet. You haven't attained the goal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like kind of like what you had mentioned earlier about you know, like if your goal was to lose 40 pounds, and then you lose 10 pounds and then you're kind of just settling for that. This is not to say obviously like your main life goal is just to lose 40 pounds, because then, you know what I mean, what happens after you do attain that? You move on to the next thing. But what I did want to add on to that was the fact of, you know, if your current milestone or your upcoming goal is to lose 40 pounds, and then once you have done what it takes, you start putting into action, and then you do lose 10 pounds, it's the fact of not settling for it. Your goal is just not complete yet, you know, but internally realizing that it is going to take more, it is going to require more effort, a harder push, right, to get to that next milestone or what that initial goal is, which is 40 pounds. But we can't be the, you know, have that mentality where it's like you make some progress but not the complete, you know, goal, and then just be okay with it. Because then like we're like, you know, to ourselves, like you're telling yourself mentally and like you're putting it out there that you're okay with, you know, maybe bare minimum, or you're okay with settling for not what you're essentially worth, you know. And I think that's like, that causes like not obviously a tremendous harm, but I think in our mindset, because kind of like the daily discipline stuff, like if you tell yourself you're going to do something, right, aside from like a bigger goal, like even on a daily task type of thing, to break it down, if you tell yourself you're going to do something, let's just say work out, you know, like, okay, today I'm going to work out, and then you had a long day, so on and so forth, where things like just kind of mentally, physically, emotionally kind of like, you know, beat at you. And at the end of it, when it is your window to work out, and then you give yourself excuses not to do it, and be like, you know what, I'm tired, it's kind of late, I'm just not going to do the workout. Like those moments, your mind is telling you that, like, and your brain is telling you like it's okay for you to make excuses, to want to quit, and to give yourself the easy way out. And like it may seem like something very small in the moment, but if you think about it on a larger scale, if you take a step back, your mind will tell itself on any other things that it's like, okay, I have like the capacity to just tell myself I'm going to do something, but not follow through with it, you know.
Yeah.
And that literally carries on to like bigger things in your life.
No, definitely. I mean, it's the fear of failure. Like you can't let that hold you back, right? Believe me, it goes into looking at fear of failure as in like, okay, are you really scared of failing, or do you just need to reframe your mindset to be, I can't fail if I just try again, right? You may not lose the weight this time or lose as much as you wanted to, but the goal is still the goal. You dust yourself off and you get back in the game, right? And that's the thing, is like, I think people fear not the failure as much as they fear the discomfort that they're going to have to initially take on. I mean, I remember when we first opened the gym, there was, you know, we had talked like, you know, we got to get on social media more and so forth. And it was like, okay, like before the podcast was launched, like I was trying to do like a lot more like self-talking videos and get more comfortable with it. And believe me, like there was times, like I told you, like I did like 32 takes of the same, like 3 sentences. And it was like, damn, like all the bloopers, and I was showing you like the bloopers and stuff, and like it was funny, but it's also then you post it and then you're like, damn, like what are people going to think? You know, and it could be something that some people really resonated with, and it's awesome, but then you still go to post that next video or that next thing, and you're just like, oh man, what are people going to think about this one, right? And so that goes into anything, whether it's opening a business, whether it's, you know, your fitness, whether it's starting to eat healthy, whether it's to stop drinking, right? Whatever your goal is, it doesn't have to be this huge life goal. It could be this month goal. It could be this week goal, right? Whatever the case may be, realize that there's going to be a level of discomfort in anything new, right? In anything worth value, there's a cost, and that cost is discomfort. But that cost of discomfort can come from 3 places: either financial, either your time, or your effort, right? the judgment and all that kind of stuff, that's not a cost, right? That only affects you if you let it affect you, right? The only three are time, money, or work, you know? And so it's like, if you don't worry about, and it's easier said than done, if you don't worry about what other people are gonna think or what you think they're gonna think, it will stop you from holding yourself back. Because it's like walking into the gym for the first time. You think everyone's looking at you and watching you work out. Guarantee they're not, right? They're probably not. They're doing their own thing. They didn't even know you came into the gym, right? You're not a celebrity that's, you know, coming in and everyone wants to, you know, get an autograph. Like, no one's eyeballing you, right? So it's like, don't be as intimidated with yourself because everyone else is feeling that same way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually really like that, you know, that point that you made, because I can relate to that 100%. And like the health and fitness aspect, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers can, you know, they can relate to. But for example, when I was doing the bodybuilding competition they helped me with, at the time, like, I would have to prep my meals, like, you know what I mean? And like with the bodybuilding competition, like, I couldn't fuck around. I couldn't dick around. I know I would text you like, can I have this? Can I have this? But before I got to that, like, mentally being so deteriorated, like, even leading up to that point when I was still, you know, I wasn't so much in the deficit. But I would have to, whenever I would, you know, kind of go somewhere, I'm not talking about a party, but, you know, like go see family, or even to the movies, you know what I mean? I would prep my food, like, and I know that I couldn't have anything else outside of that. But I know that if, like, I went to a family gathering, or even I went to go see, like, hang out with friends. This was like obviously years ago, but when I would go visit friends and stuff and they would go out and eat, I would have my food with me. No joke. And the thing is, like, people like the external aspect of it would be like, what the hell, you're bringing your own food? Like, the fuck? Like, we're going out to eat, or we made a shit ton of food, right? But in my mind, it's like, yes, I can, like, I did tell them, like, no, I'm preparing for something, right? And I'm sure they are judging me as to, like, they're judging me, and like, why are you so doing that? So, you know, you're so into that, or you're obsessed or something,
right?
You know, whatever their judgment may be. But the thing is, to me, internally, I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? I was actually happy and proud of myself for bringing my own food and accomplishing my task to achieve the goal.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even though externally, like, on the outside, people may think of it as like negative, or like, you know, they have their own opinion. But to me, there was nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It was actually a positive. I was actually happy, and I was actually proud of myself for doing what I need to, and excited because I know I was doing the right steps to achieve the actual goal.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, it's about the perception, but it's our own perception is
100%.
what really matters. You know what I mean?
And I mean, since you mentioned like the bodybuilding one, like a view on it, I want you to like think about too, is like, before you started your journey on the, you know, to go on stage and stuff, you had talked to a few people before we talked, right? And a lot of people didn't want to help just to help, right? It was like, you know, either they didn't have time, or they're like, you know what, nah, like, you know, or they're going to, you know, charge you for it. And I was like, look, I got you, you know. And so my one rule to you was, once you start seeing results, other people are going to jump in. And if you let someone else jump in and mess up what I'm doing with like the coaching program, I will drop you. Right. And that was my one thing. I was like, it's not for me to take credit or anything like that. It's because I'm doing this now. I'm dedicating my time to you. But other people are going to want to take the credit that wasn't given to them, and, you know, take the whole initial part when they didn't want that in the beginning because they didn't believe in you. Right. But then all of a sudden that goes for like any dream, right? I mean, we've talked about this with opening the gym. People will question it and be like, give you the pat on the head and be like, oh yeah, okay, you know. And then all of a sudden things start growing, and then things start scaling, and then they're like, oh hey, like, you know, whenever you get a chance, you know, like, we should talk about business together. Let's open a business. And it's like, no, I don't want to open a business with you. I have my own business I'm working on, right? And, you know, it goes to show you that other people will judge you in that. They may judge you in that initial phase, or might not want to help or be skeptical about it. But then once the process is proven and you're showing the results, then everyone wants to jump on shit, right? And it's like, you have to realize you have to separate the outside voices from your own voice. And that goes into the fact of having basically a lack of self-belief. It all begins and ends with your mind. Shout out to the Money Muscle Mindset. The first and last chapter are that as well. But then I told you, like, the reason why I wrote the first and last chapter like that was because, just like the book, first chapter, last chapter, it's the same thing with your goals. It all begins with your mind. Once you believe you can start achieving something, and you believe that you can achieve a vision or, you know, a goal, you can. There's a way. You may not achieve it the first time or the second time or the 10th time. But if you keep trying and you keep looking for new resources and new tools and new skills to hit that goal, you're going to. But the moment you stop believing in yourself is the moment that goal is now just a dream.
Yeah.
Right? Because the difference between a dream and a goal is basically your action taken towards it. Otherwise, it's just that, you know, good night dream and it's make believe. Right?
Yeah. And just, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like you said, that self-belief part, it's self-belief is something that, you know, is created. You know what I mean? Like, for you to believe in yourself.
Hashtag bricklayer, bitch.
You better put that cement on. But
whoa.
but that self-belief is built. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like what I mentioned earlier. If what your mind believes you to be as somebody that always doesn't follow through with what you tell yourself you're gonna do, what do you think how high your self-confidence is gonna be?
Right.
You know what I mean? Even with the little things. It starts actually with the little things, and then it grows up in a bigger scale. You know what I mean? The more we are more intentional, and you know, you build up your strength little by little with the little things that you tell yourself you're going to do on a daily basis, and then and then you start to scale out, whether it's career-wise, relationship, you know, business, financial, whatever it is. Like, if we constantly work and, you know, kind of put in the effort to progress ourselves in following through, that is what is going to build your self-discipline. I mean, I'm sorry, your self-belief. Well, yes, your self-discipline, but your self-belief that you could believe that you can do anything. And that way, when you are setting bigger goals, you're not gonna want to, and you're not going to settle for anything less than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think it does come down to the self-discipline too. So, like, when you said it, like, I agreed with you, because the self-belief is all based off of your discipline that you've given yourself, right? And your ability to do it, even though you're going through the mud, even though you're being forged by the fire, as they say. And it's like, you're still showing up and giving it your all, right? Whether you are starting to have wavering thoughts of, am I doing the right thing? How many thoughts did we have with the gym? Like, fuck, did we do the right thing? Like, we went all in, and it's like, we both said that there is no plan B. And it was like, even through the toughest of times of, like, mentally, physically, emotionally, it was like, okay, we can sit here and we can, you know, think about it and think of what other people are saying, or it's like, let's figure out a solution. Let's what's the next step, right? And you don't need to know the whole plan, but it's like, let's just find that next step, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. But your self-confidence comes from, like, when I said the bricklayer bitch thing, like, that was from when Nick a while back mentioned, it's like, you know, laying bricks, it's like you're a bricklayer. And it's so true though. It's like, time after time, you start to build the self-confidence because you still showed up and you achieved little mini milestones. Each milestone that you achieve, or each day you showed up when you didn't want to, is a brick that you've built in your self-belief to do the things that you need to do, even though you don't want to do them. Right. And like that, I was, you know, being interviewed the other day, and it was like, someone was like, so what was your biggest moment? And I was like, I mean, probably the gym. But they're like, no, like, the most pivotal, like, when did you realize that you could do it? And I was like, oh, that was never a thought. Like, I mean, I told myself I could do it, but it wasn't the fact that I was delusional enough to think that I had all the skills and knowledge to be successful right out the gate. But what I did have the knowledge was that I will do everything and anything that I need to do to make sure that it is successful. And I built that skill up, just like you built that skill up, you know, through our life. Right. And that is one thing after another. And it's like, it's not always easy. It's not always fun. We don't always succeed. But again, you get back up and you try it again. Right.
And I want to ask, you know, for the people that are watching, to engage them, because I know that as much as they like listening to both of us talk, we do want to get your guys' share your thoughts and your experiences. you guys throw it in the comments, like name, certain goals or things that you set for yourself that, you may have settled for less, or maybe you're going through it right now, right? Name a goal or something you want to achieve that you realize you're.
I don't know if that one should go in the comments, because then, like,
might be personal.
No, it's not that. Like, it's the fact that it's like someone's having to admit that they settled for less,
right? Or maybe they're still working on it too. So.
Right. Well, if they did settle for less, it's a time for them to realize that they need to go for the big one and the real one. I would say, going the direction you're going. In the comments, what is a big goal that you've had fear of accomplishing?
Okay, there you go.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I knew where you were going with it. But, so put in the comments, what is a big goal that you've had that you've doubted yourself or had limiting beliefs on achieving?
Don't be scared. We're here to support you. So throw it in the comments. I see you watching, Patty.
So, I mean, let's dive into, for a second, like, diluting a goal or discounting a dream, right, for the need for instant gratification, right? Because, I mean, sometimes it's like it feels good to win, right? And it's like some goals are so big that it takes a long time, and it's like you are going through the mud, and it's like day after day, and it feels like you're not making any progress. So then you dilute the goal a little bit so that you can feel like you accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
Or what are your thoughts on that?
My personal thoughts is just you're being a bitch. No, I was kidding. But in all seriousness, like, I think honestly, man, like, it goes back to like a little bit into fear. Like you want to, like, you achieved a little bit of something, you take a step or even a couple of steps forward, but then, like, if you truly ask yourself, like, I think that's what it comes down to. Is this good enough for me? Is this the maximum of what I'm worth or what I'm capable of? It goes back to that question right there where, kind of like, actually, it's like one of my favorite things, tying in time. It's like, if 5 years, 10 years go by, if you ask yourself, like, am I happy with settling for, or celebrating that the small couple things that I did achieve, or those small couple wins, but it wasn't the full goal that I had, knowing that you could have given more or more time, that certain amount of time would have passed by and you would have had more time to put in more effort or to keep trying. Like, to me, that's the biggest thing. It's where it's like, is it something you're going to regret after some time passes by? Because again, like, I know I'm somebody that always says it, the whole time thing. I should get time tatted on me somewhere, because it's like it's a constant reminder that it's like, bro, like, we only have a limited amount. You know what I mean? So within that time, like, at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, like, did I just settle? Did I just quit even because I got a couple wins, but I didn't fully achieve the goal? Or, like, you know what I mean? Maybe things got hard. I made a couple wins, but I couldn't get there quite enough. But the thing is, if you gave it enough time to keep trying and just not settle for it, would you have gotten there? It's that question that comes back in my head, like, fuck. Is that regret that comes back to me? It's like, I hate that. That's my opinion on, like, settling for less, or, you know what I mean? Or that instant gratification, like, kind of like just taking the dub now and then just not even trying to go for the full thing.
Not gonna lie, I'm still stuck on the fact that you said you're gonna get time tatted on you
somewhere, or like a clock or something like that.
You have a watch on your wrist, right? like I just imagine you coming into the gym with just time just across your forearm, and like oh,
bro,
all right.
That's
one that you're gonna be 80 and be like, so what does time mean? What's the acronym? And it's like, no,
it's just time. We got some comments. Patty said, shout out Patty. I knew Patty was gonna drop in there, even though she's probably out doing something. My first challenge was something that I fear. That's a good one. Like, I know Patty actually almost before the one that she just did, but the one prior to that, she was wanting to do it, but she didn't end up doing it, but her fearing that, she couldn't stick to the meal plan because she went out a lot. Your face.
We know you went out a lot, Patty. We saw it.
But you know what I mean? But overcoming that fear of making a mistake before you even gave the effort to do the challenge, or even gave it a chance to do it and see how hard you can push yourself and how much you can stick to the meal plan. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that, I think that was a good like goal for Patty.
No,
You know
definitely.
what I mean?
I mean, Alejandra said that her graduate degree. I mean, that's a big one.
That is a big
You
one.
know, at the end of the day, I mean, you already know, you've already proven to yourself with that it's like you've already gotten your bachelor's, so you already have those bricks laid down of achieving year 1, achieving year 2, achieving year 3. Like it just gets a little bit progressively harder. It's not like you're jumping into new waters, but that is a huge thing because you tell everyone that you're going to, you know, grad school, and now it's like you don't want to not complete it, you know. So that is a huge one. That's a solid goal, and you know, keep going, you know. And then Patty said, she talked about, you know, that she needed more discipline, like Nick taking his food everywhere. And Barb's is self-love is her biggest challenge. You know, she said she struggles to be kind to myself, to be proud of myself for little or big accomplishments. I am way too hard on myself and is my reason for why I give up too easy. I'll let you take that away.
And I just want to say, first off, Barb, like I commend you, like truly, because like, and the thing is, like, we actually have these conversations every day at the gym, you know what I mean? And you're somebody that works out every day, and we kind of have these talks very constant. And the thing is, I never mind having these constant conversations with you. And I know you love when I drop those those quotes or those lyrical mindsets that you're just like, whoa. Like last time I told her because she was thinking about, like, she was comparing, one of the talks we had was like, you know, she was like where she was before, right? She was comparing like where she was before, and then like gained some weight, and then now it's such a struggle to get back to where she was before.
Right.
And I told her, and I like, one of the main things that I talked to her about was like, you know, you're concentrating too much on the past, right? Go with that like kind of whole spiel where it's like, it doesn't matter what happened in the past or where you were. It matters what because you're not going backwards.
Right.
We're looking straight forward. The effort and the actions that you take now is what matters, because that's what's going to determine where you were going, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, who's to say that you can, and I believe you can, Barb, like you can exceed where you were before, where you were before, where you're comparing yourself to before, which is, don't get me wrong, it's a good driving factor, but it shouldn't be what's holding you back. You know
I would say the only thing for like where you were before is proof that you could physically get there, because you've been there, right? And you should, even though it's yourself, like to what Nick is saying, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So you comparing yourself to where you were is like, it's just like comparing yourself to someone else, even though it's yourself. You have to compare where you started this journey of getting back to where you were to from that point to today. And then a month, compare it to the last time you checked in. And so that's the comparison you're doing. And it's because you're tracking the progress. You're not looking at the end destination. Someone that values the journey more than values the destination will walk further than the person that values the destination, right? So if your eye is always on that destination, always on like what I used to be and where, you know, what someone else has done or whatever the case is, you're not putting as much attention that you could be on what you're currently doing. And that's not to say you're not putting in the work, but you're not giving yourself the praise, which allows you to be more motivated and see more results, because now your internal motivation and your internal drive is peaking. And now all of a sudden, a few check-ins, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, actually I'm way past where I was. You know, now looking at it, you know, it's like, dang, it's so crazy. And this is something that Nick and I had a conversation about. You know, I think it was probably during our first year of the gym. And it was like we were being hard on ourselves, like everything was going right, and then, you know, everything started slowing down, and there was like hiccups and stuff like that. And so we would be in our own head, and it was like we had a conversation also, and it was like, damn, think about where we were 6 months ago. Think about where we were a year ago. And at the time of the conversation, you know, I was like, think about where you were 3 years ago. I was like 3 years ago, I was personal training. I was, maybe helping I think I was actually doing that. So I was just personal training. The gym was just still a dream. Like it was a dream I was trying to take action on, but like every time I tried, it wasn't working. Right. And so thinking about, damn, in 3 years, we've gotten this far. And then we did it with you too. And I was like, damn. So you have to give yourself that recognition and stop trying to like want more right away. It's that instant gratification, like dilemma of wanting more than being proud of what you just achieved. Right? You achieved more. You're on the track. You're doing everything you can. You're leaving it all out on the floor. It's like, what can you be mad about? Like, yes, maybe you could have gotten more, but did you give it everything you could? Did you eat clean? Did you, do all the things? Did you get your sleep? Then what? Like, there's nothing else you could have done. You just keep going. Right? That's the only thing you can do. And it's tough, and it's mentally tough, and it's emotionally tough. Believe me, I get it. But that's part of the process. But if you take it all in as it's coming and stop trying to view that destination part of it and just view where you're at, be proud of where you're at. If you're going through the mud, be proud of this is a time for you to grow. If you're at that peak and everything's going right, be proud that you've went through the mud and now you're back at the top of the mountain, right? You have to be in the moment and not be so hard on yourself, comparing yourself, even though it is to yourself, all the time.
Yeah. It's a cliche, but it's like everything's going to be fucking hard. You just got to choose which hard you want. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to like go through the hard times where you feel like shit, you're not happy with what you're doing? You know what I mean? You're regretting every decision that you're doing, or that you're kind of not doing. Or do you want the hard word to struggle and like, it's not easy, but you are bettering yourself. You're making the right decisions and heading towards the right direction, and the lyrical bomb or the analogy that I gave Barb at that moment when we were having that certain talk was that the car one with like, I'm like, you're doing great. You know what I mean? And like, just your past is your past. And it is something for you to keep in, kind of just analyze where you've been. But the thing is, if you think about a car, when you drive, right, it's like your rear view mirror is there, but it's small, right? And what's bigger than the rear view mirror? Your windshield. Because so you can see where you're going, what's ahead of you. The road that's, like you said, like you got to focus in the moment. Like obviously you can, you're driving somewhere. It's like, you're not looking like, not even you can see that far, but like you can't see 10 miles down the damn road.
The average human can only see 5 miles.
Okay. Well, I have 15, 20 vision. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? That's why like our mentality has to be kind of like you're driving. You got to focus and concentrate on where you're currently at and what's ahead. You can't be so focused and like too concerned about your rear view mirror. Like you can look at it from time to time, but if that's all you're looking at is what's behind you, you can't fucking see what's in front of you.
Dude, that analogy is so crazy. It sounds so familiar. That is odd. It's like I just got like deja vu almost. It's like weird. It's like I feel like I've heard it somewhere. That was a great analogy.
I heard it from a smart guy somewhere.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I actually, I mean, but just kind of addressing like what Barb said, like where we kind of start off, I was like, I'm proud of you, Barb. Like I wouldn't mind having as many like talks again to, kind of reassure you that you are on the right track, because like even she has like seen it like certain times where like the shirts and certain clothes that she wears, she'll tell me and Patty, and like here at the gym, it's like, oh my God, like this shirt didn't fit before. You know what I mean? Like now it fits fine, perfectly fine. Or things that you bought or like you couldn't wear before, it's like now you can. Like those are the things that you should be celebrating and be appreciative for, and use it to keep propelling you forward. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of this specific topic that we're on. You've made progress. Just don't settle. You know what I mean? There's so much more room to grow, and then the goal is still there. The upcoming goal, at least like the current milestone that you're trying to achieve is still there. So don't stop, don't settle. You have to keep going, because once you do achieve and hit that goal, there's the next one that lies ahead. You know what I mean? And for everybody, like whatever your goal may be that you're currently working on, once you do hit that, it goes to the same concept where don't just settle there though. You have to keep going, because it's time is that endless the endless horizon where it just keeps going until it's time for you to punch out.
It's time for you to put your hard hat on, punch your time card in, and go to work. But honestly, there's a cost to settling, and that's the real thing that we want to talk about too. Is like the cost of settling is that unfulfilled part of you, right? Nick has mentioned this before, where on your deathbed, like, what do you want to be thinking about? Like, are you going to be thinking about the pride that you've had and everything that you've done, you've accomplished everything you've wanted to accomplish? Or are you going to be laying there and be like, man, I wish I would have tried this. What if I would have done that? What if I would have had this conversation? What if I would have took a chance? Would things have been different? And it's like, you don't want to have that. You got to leave it all out in the court while you can, right? Because you never know what's, around the corner.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you're having a moment to analyze there, it's like, it's that thought of like, damn, I could have done this, I should have done this, or the thought of like, damn, like I did everything that I could. You know what I mean? Like, again, like you've achieved many goals, and maybe at that certain time that you're at, and don't want to get too dark, take it as you want it, but when you are at that time where it's like, you couldn't finish that specific goal, but you did everything that you can, and you didn't settle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that's the differentiating factor and what matters most.
Right.
I heard this quote that honestly, I can't remember the specific source of it, but it's like, life is easier understood.
I thought you were about to say life is like a box of chocolate.
No, Forrest. Life is easier understood looking at it backwards, but we have to live it forward. Have you heard of it?
No, but I like that.
Yeah. It's, if we think about it, it's like, when we think back on things in like the past, it's like, damn, like you understand things more, and like, oh, okay, like this is why things happened. You know what I mean? And then maybe certain things that you could have thought you could have done better, right? But that's looking at it backwards.
Right.
But the second part of that is you have to live it forward.
Right. It's like hindsight 2020.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like to me, that's the biggest part of that, is like you have to live it forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like you don't, and the living it is the part where it's like you have to put in the full intentional action in everything that you do. You know what I mean? Because that is what's going to determine where you are headed towards.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like it can't be something where it's like you're putting into action, and just because you're not at the current end destination, like you're just gonna stop there. Because then that big question comes up, is like, what now?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a question that every individual maybe fails to ask themselves sometimes. Because it's like, if you have that certain feeling of settling, or like you're not at the current goal yet, and maybe you hit a plateau, or maybe you're having to redirect or find another route, it's like, what now?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even sometimes asking yourself that question can help realign you. You know what I mean? Because like if you ask yourself like, what now? It's like, that's the moment where you're asking yourself to step up and make a decision. And whatever the decision is, like, you're gonna regret it, or you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be happy with it.
Right. The world keeps moving, right? It keeps, whether things are going right, whether things are going wrong, like the world keeps moving. Time's moving, so should you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what he's kind of saying, is like, you have to keep moving forward. You have to live forward. And it's like, if you dwell on the past, all you're doing is thinking about something you have no control over changing. It already happened. It's like, what's next? Now what? Right. And that's where we've had plenty of these where situations have happened, and then it's like, okay, you can get upset about it. We can be upset about it. We can dwell on it. We can be sad about it. So, or what do we do? What's the next thing? Yeah.
And actually, I kind of want to like touch on this, because hopefully it's a tactical advice or something, for at least a thought process that'll help some people. It's like, let's just use health and fitness, I guess, because that's what our niche is. Usually when we fall into this, like, regular routine, or maybe people that want to get in shape and for a certain time frame, or they want to start, they'll start, right? And then they'll hit the hard times, or something will happen or whatever. And then they'll kind of either fall back or stop, right? But the thing is, like, you got to realize that when you actually set a goal and you're giving your full intent, and you're not going to settle for anything less than achieving the goal, that requires a change of action. That requires analyzation and understanding that what you were doing in the past that caused you not to hit the goal, that's what you have to change.
Mhm.
To give us a very specific example, it's like, okay, if you're trying to reach a certain body fat percentage, and I'm using this example because I've had a lot of clients, but also like there was a time in my life, like way back then, that I was like kind of put in these situations myself. This was even before the bodybuilding competition, that I wanted to lose a certain amount of body fat percentage, but I couldn't. I was like hitting a plateau, or like I kept going back. And the reason being is because I was put in certain circumstances where I was asked to go out, or I had to go see family, or so on and so forth, where I was on a good track, and then I fell off because I was put in a situation where like I wasn't prepared, or I wasn't like, thinking about the goal, and it set me back. And then so I had to start back from square one. And then now, looking in hindsight, the changes and the actions that I made, it's knowing that when I know I was about to be put in a situation where I would falter, that's when I would intentionally put in effort to not make the same mistake again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's actually what broke the plateaus. And for me to achieve goals that I wanted to achieve, like physically wise,
Right.
is because I was like, okay, if you're doing something wrong, it's like, it's like walking against a glass door. Why do you keep doing that? You know what I mean? It's like you have to know what you're like, analyze and like realize like the areas that is holding you back, and set yourself up so you don't keep making the same mistake, or else kind of like the last couple episodes that we had, it's like then you're just running on a hamster wheel. You know what I mean?
You got it right this time.
Huh?
So you got it right last time. Last time you're talking about chutes and ladders.
So yeah, like you're just running in a hamster wheel, and you're kind of like, and that takes an effect on you mentally. You know what I mean? Because you're telling yourself like, damn, I'm not achieving it. But have you asked yourself why you're not achieving it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think those are like questions that we should ask ourselves on certain goals that we have.
No, 100%. Just because you didn't achieve it one time doesn't mean you can't achieve it. It's like you have to analyze it and you learn from the mistakes, right? And it's like you can think about it and you can, review it and do all these things and dwell on it. But it's like if you don't try again, and even just thinking about why it didn't work doesn't really matter, right? You have to get up and go again, right? But realize that any goal, like we were saying in the beginning, is there's going to be a level of discomfort. To any level of success, you have to basically go through it. Everyone has done it, right? Anyone that's lost weight, it sucks. Anyone that's started a business, it's tough. Anyone that's, been in a relationship, there's ups and there's downs. Like there's everything worth value, and anything that you're trying to achieve that's not just, you can go to the store and get it. It's like something that has to be built, right? Your new body, your new version of you has to be built. A business has to be built. A relationship has to be built. A friendship has to be built, and it's like those things all take work. But that discomfort during the times that it's not working is just a lesson to make it work better, more efficiently, right?
You have to go through it to get through it.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
What was the question that we had asked? Because I know there's a few people that
I want to mention what Patty said real quick. Like she said, like I tell my daughter, make choices and live with those choices. I mean, I was taught that same method, right? It's look, make a choice, but you stand by that choice, right or wrong, like you made it. And that's what we go into. We've talked about before. It's like, I personally don't accept excuses, because excuses is not taking ownership of you made the wrong choice, right? Even for myself, right? It's like sometimes I mess up, but it's like you admit the mess up, you explain it, you think about it, and then now you have a way to not do that again, right? Even if it doesn't need to be like a mistake, anything big, like you just showed up late, you messed up a relationship, right? Whatever the case is, it's like you have to know that it was you, like it is your fault. And once you can do that, now you can analyze why you did it, why it happened, and it's like, now I won't do that again. I learned from it, right?
Deco said, shout out Deco. Gold is refined under fire. So you must and need to go through the fire to get refined. I like that.
I like that. My take on it, the diamond on my elbow is for pressure builds diamonds. You know, it's like diamonds formed out of coal.
I think I've seen it on the shirt somewhere.
That's crazy. You know, I wonder where I got that idea. You know? But it's, you know, the pressure, the obstacles, all that stuff is forming you to be the version of yourself that you want to be, right? Whether it's, again, in fitness, whether it's in business, whatever it is, those tough times are forging you to be diamonds, to be gold, to be whatever it is. That's what's making you the version 2.0 that you aspire to be, right? And your journey or your goal might be the same as someone else's. That doesn't mean it's going to be the same timeline. Like, I guarantee it. It might be a week difference. It might be a month. It might be a year. It might be 5 years. Who knows? But the thing is, as long as you keep going, you will get there. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right?
What's that quote? The tough times don't make tough people. Oh, wait, no. Tough. I butchered that 100%. There's a saying like that, like the tough people don't make tough times. That
no, it's longer. And I was gonna. It goes. Tough times, you know, make tough people, right? And then it goes, tough people make tough times, and then it like circles back around. Like I butchered it as well, but it's like there's like 3 levels to it.
Yeah.
Right. And what it's speaking to is that like the way the analogy is, it's set up in like 3 generations, right? Basically, someone that's struggling in a tough time, someone that goes through a tough time makes easier times. Someone going through easier times makes even easier times. Someone that's going through easier times makes difficult times.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going.
Right. So the analogy speaks to, let's say, like someone starting a business, right? And they're growing the business, they're going through the suck and all that kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden their kids, you know, grow the business and stuff. But now their kids, let's say your grandkids, all of a sudden are inherited, you know, into the business, and they're, you know, quote unquote, you know, spoiled. So those are the kids that think that the world is given to them, and then they make times tough again. And then the next generation, it goes through the tough times and they start building it up again. And it's a cycle. But the same thing goes for being an inspiration to someone, right? Someone that's already achieved success, right, is an inspiration, but it looks like easy. It looks easy. You going through the tough time right now can be an inspiration to someone else that is in the tough time. So your journey to that next level can help bring someone else to that next level with you, right?
Dico just answered it.
What?
He said,
he fucking Googled it.
He ChatGPT'd it. He said, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times.
Yeah, there it is.
Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. That's it right there. Yeah, and I actually really like that saying, because the fact of understanding weak men create hard times. To me, like, if you break that down a little bit, it's like, Geraldine just laughs. Thanks, Geraldine. How about you? But like, weak men meaning, like, if we take the easy route out, if we make the easier choices, if we settle for the instant gratification, if we do what feels good in the moment,
right?
That's what's going to hinder you from achieving the goal. Not only that, but in many avenues, that's when you're deteriorating your own mental discipline, your own mind, where it's okay to like settle for less or do what you're not do what you're supposed to do. Those are the hard times that when it comes back around and it's time for you to, like you said, stand by your choices, that's when it's like you feel like shit, and then the regret settles in, because then you're sitting there with regretting the actions and the choices that you've made. But if you're one of those people that strong men create good times, it's if you stand by your word, if you create the discipline and you make the hard choices, those are that's what's going to create like the more fulfilling, more profitable time for you. You know what I mean? And you reap the reward that you're looking for, because it's not easy. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. I mean, like, if you just rephrase the same, analogy, hard times make you strong. When you're strong, times are good. When times are good, it can make you weak. And when you're weak, you create, or things are hard, right? So if you just rephrase the analogy, I mean, that's going to what you're saying is like, when you have to go through that fire, when everything feels like you're just pushing, then you're getting stronger in the process. Once you've got through to the other side, now everything is like, oh damn, we're here. Everything's cool. But then you get comfortable there. And when you get comfortable there, you start to get weaker because you're only going forward or you're going back. So all of a sudden you get too relaxed, you get a little stagnant on your goals, pushing, motivated, and all of a sudden things start to go bad again. And then all of a sudden you're in the suck, you're going through it, you do everything you need to do. And that's one of the biggest things is like, we push so hard when we're not where we want to be, but then we take our foot off the gas once we achieve what we want, instead of keeping your foot on the gas even in a different area of life, and keep that momentum going, let that snowball grow, right? Because you have that drive right now. So it's like, just because times got good doesn't mean they're going to stay good. Times are good now, this too shall pass. Times are hard, this too shall pass. It's like, realize that the cycle is going to come back around. Why not keep that motivation going? Because it's a lot harder to get something going when it's not going, right?
It's like a race, I guess. It's like a race. It's like you're running and you're making good progress, and you're probably, starting your build momentum and like get ahead of the pack. And then it's like you're almost kind of seeing, or at least well on your way to the finish line. It's like, why the fuck would you slow down? Like to get there? It's like, I would imagine you would sprint there. Like Devin says, sprint to the end, sprint to the end. But I like that you said that, because actually it reminded me of like an advice, or I guess like something that my parents always told me growing up, was that, I want you, when they told me, it's like, I want you to think about your life as if, it's a crossroads. Whenever you're faced with making tough decisions, or, think of it like two roads. There's like a really wide.
That's what a crossroad is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like a really wide road on one side. And then there's like a really narrow and skinny road on one side, right? Think about it like most people that come to those, like that crossroad, there's a wider road because more people are go down that way, because it's the easier path to take, versus the narrow, skinny road, making the hard decisions where not a lot of people fit, where not a lot of people go.
Right.
And the thing is, like, we want you to always analyze and choose the harder route, because usually when you choose the harder route that not everybody just wants to go through, and not a lot of people are or fit, it's because that's actually the road that's going to lead you to success or wherever you're trying to go. Right. And there's a reason why the wider road fits so many people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And those are the people that, kind of take the instant gratification, or just take the easy way out, or just end up settling, and then they wonder, and then they throw negative energy and envy to those people that chose the narrow road. Because it's like, damn, like, they got this, so on and so forth. But well, that's because they made the harder fucking choices. You know what I mean? And that it's crazy. That just reminded me of that. And I was like, wow.
I mean, I'll add on to your analogy, because I think it is a good one. And it's like, think of that same analogy. Instead of being at a crossroads, your crossroads are one that's wider, it goes around the mountain. And the narrow one goes up the mountain. The reason it goes up the mountain is because it's tough to go up a mountain, right? But the people that are going around the mountain, the path, you don't know is it comes right back around. It's behind you too, right? So when you stay on that path, you're joining the pack, and you're just going in circles. You're just staying the same.
I like that.
Right? But yet that path that no one else is taking, because they're like, oh, nope, I'm just gonna keep going this. It's going to get me to where I need to be. They don't know it's in a circle, right? But the one at the top, that's where utopia is. That's where everything that you want is.
It's the promised land.
Exactly. It's at the top, right? Who knows how high that peak is for you? But again, all of a sudden you get to the peak, and there might be even a smaller road at that one, right? And it's like, again, that goes for any area of your life. And it's not that you need to just make things hard to make things hard, but you choose the difficult path when you know it's the path you need to take, right? Because sometimes we get stuck in this thing where we make things hard just to feel like we're doing things, when in reality, you're still on that same wide path. You're just basically bear crawling instead of walking, right? So it's like, when you come to a crossroads and you're like, damn, I need to go do this, but I don't really feel like it right now. then that's what we're kind of talking about.
Yeah. And I think just again, like a more of a tactical, hopefully nugget. It's like when you hit that moment, like Devin said, when that but starts to come in, when that,
Okay.
don't look at me like that. But you know what I'm saying? When that initial thought of you already thinking about, but it's like when you think about those buts, instantly you should tell yourself no.
Yeah.
And it's one of the hardest things to do, but it is something you got to build yourself up and your self-discipline, that when it happens, just like nip it in the bud right there. Because when you have that but, it's like you already know the answer.
Yeah.
You just don't want the answer.
Yeah.
And if you don't make the right decision, the only answer you're going to get is you fucked up.
Yeah.
And Diego said, broad is the road that leads to destruction. Narrow is the gate to life. Very, very few people find it. I love that one. Yeah, shout out Diego.
But with that being said, guys, we do hope that this gave you a different perspective change, a different view on if you guys are going down a road that is the broad road, or if you guys are going down a road that you just feel like, you know what, I'm gonna go down this one because I'll be happy with 10 pounds. I'll be happy with, my career. I'll be happy with this. And you're settling. Take that other road. Take the road that you need to take. Take the journey that's going to leave you at the end of your life feeling fulfilled, right? Don't hold anything back. You'll fail. That's fine. Get up and go again. You'll fail a second time. That's fine. Get up and go again, right? Strive 11 wasn't the first business that I tried, right? And it's one of those things where you can fail and you can stay there on the ground crying about it, or you can wipe your tears and get back up because you're not done yet. You're not there yet, right? So with that being said, make sure you guys share that we go live on Fridays. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. But we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And see you guys on the next one. Later.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Cause in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to